Today's topic is dissolving the conceptual God. We have roughly, and I won't name them all, by statistics, 470 religions. How can I put it? 470 religions that have their own explanation of what God is. We have popular religions. We have Christianity, Catholics, we have the Quran. All of these books explain, and I mean all of those books, all the way back, have a concept of a person that channeled that what you would call the so-called divine blueprint of what that is, of what God is. My question is, in this new paradigm, are we ready to dissolve that concept? One famous person once said, if on your pilgrimage, on your travels, you meet Buddha, kill him. Now that sounds tough, and this is not about killing. This is more about, tell me your religion and I'll judge you by your book. The psychology is like, if your religion is based on one book and your knowledge is based on one book, then well, you can have questions or discrepancy of that book. Many holy books talk of the same battle. In this battle, David, had 700 horses. In this book, he had 1,700 horses. And in the other book, he had 10,000 horses. And then there's another book where he said that David had actually a brother who actually added to the horses, and they had, 50,000. So you have to know that fact is you were not there. You're reading a story of somebody who archived what was. You're not their perception, you're not their understanding or overstanding. And the story begins to derail there. Meaning, how can you have proof of what happened if you can't time travel? If you can actually go to the place where it took place and see for yourself, this is what took place. You never know. So, let's take apart words. You can say, how come that holy books don't mention Adam's first wife, or that Adam's original name was Zachar? Zachar. Some say the whisperer is Shaitan. Why is it that in some books the whisperer is actually the revealer of what is? Why is it that the letter J for the word Jesus was invented in the 1600s? Before that, there wasn't the name for him. He was called Yeshua, or Yeshua, as in Iasu, the original word, is why is that personified in one being. So if you have a supreme being, why would an all-knowing, all-supreme being send his only son in physical form to a planet that back then, so it seemed, was doomed? It's just a question. I'm not attacking religion. It's just a question where we really have to go deep into the mind and think about, what are we praying to? What's the symbolism that's being created for us to pray something to that is not inside of us? Or so it seems. Why do we make a difference? Why that in some books, as in the God we pray to, or you pray to, is a he? Question, why is it that the fetus after conception is 11 days female, and then it's decided if it's going to be a male, or androgynous for all I care? What's the genetic makeup in the background? If somebody isn't according to what the human race would be, say, functionally or normally born, isn't he still in God's image? Why is that? It's because we have to learn, and that's a strong feeling, to come back to know what you are. God in the ancient Greek letters means Goma, Oz, Dabar, or Dubar. That is beauty, strength, and individual. That means it is a description of the human. And what you pray to is actually an externalized version of yourself, because you're supposed to embody heaven in the body. Some say as above, so below. That's evil. Don't misunderstand as above, so below. It is meant as in a heavenly faculty, so in the physical form. And that's when Yeshua, Yasu, which is those with the knowledge of Ea, which is the brother of Enlil. His name is Enki. You want to call him Anu, you want to call him Anubis, Ra, Osiris, Re, Tot, Ptah, Isis, Nephthys, Nefertari. Over and over, these are the same names. But here's the thing. The ancient language, if you come to asking yourself, what language does God speak? First off, I believe before the Tower of Babel was crushed, we had a telepathic link. And the one language that we spoke was a telepathic link that we had that didn't require us to speak words. It was more required to telepathically and photonically link with one another. So our minds were tuned and we could understand each other. And it is to my knowledge, which can be, yes, limiting, to all the scriptures that I read, from Bible to Quran to Torah to Talmud, what's it called, apocryphes, side stories to the Bible, ancient texts, books where I went to the library, but people said that nobody has gotten that book in 50 years. Investigating the parallels of the storylines in those books. Also understanding we can say, like a creationist, that Earth was created in 6,000 years or in 10,000 years. Timeline-wise, and I will quote Hollywood because Hollywood uses the truth to mess with us because we're not looking at the truth. When Morpheus explains to Neo that we don't no longer know what time it is. Somewhere we lost the battle and we fell in consciousness and we tried to survive this year to the best of our knowledge. So I pose this question. If you were a race that was called the Easu, thousands of years before, you can say, the Holy Eminence was born, which I think we had many. Jesus, Buddha. Jesus was called Buddha Isa. You have Isas and Imams and Holy Ones in other scriptures. Original books were written in Hebrew, Iburu, Nibiru, foreigners, those of the crossing, the planet of the crossing, you know. Do the math. Go back into these words. And then I read more books and I realized, what if, and it's just the conclusion that I'm coming to, is that of all the languages that we have on this planet are actually an eclectic conglomerate of slave languages that were coded to disguise the messages in front of the slave master who spoke ancient, you can say, Sumerian. So A, E, O, U, A, all of these sounds in German are called umlaut. These sounds that we have in words got lost in slaves creating their own coded languages. You can go to Portuguese, which is like half Brazil, Spanish, mix of Roman and whatnot, and they say obrigado. Why is it in Japanese the same meanings as origato? You have obrigada. There are word similarities in certain words that couldn't transmorph so much that they would go away from the source. So I'm saying if there was a plateau of one original language, then you have to ask yourself first off, and you don't have to go back more than 10,000 years. It's just for what knowledge was allowed. I say, let's say the flood was 13,000 years ago. So according to the flood, your knowledge can only be 13,000 years old. I mean, for whatever is left, whatever remnant is left, whatever translations you find, whatever is written in stone, which is the oldest memory medium on the planet, is a rock. Not a computer disk, not a CD. All of this stuff will not last that long unless it's in a vacuum and sealed and whatnot. But we have yet to find that out. So, let's say the Sumerian tablets are the oldest written storylines on this planet, and all other books that by date came after these tablets are a derivative of an original way of life, where everybody or every group or group formation decided for themselves, this is my God, this is how I describe my God, and this is the rules that my God that I live by. You know, how come that you say the Bible, which, by the way, can be broken down into basic instruction before leaving Earth. Let's play with words. Some people say you can't say that. I'll say, why is it that you can say that? You can be creative. So let's say that these manuals were actually space manuscripts and manuals that help you as an ET in human form to remember your way back when it's time to transcend this. And it all got confused because of greed, male dominance, race dominance, oppressors, that they decided, I moderate this book, and this is the way I see it. Well, how come? Did you have to ask yourself the question that in one book it's the 10 Commandments, in another book it's 25 Commandments, and if you go back into, you could say, the Bible of the Moors, it can be 360 commandments. How is it in the original 10 Commandments it said, you shall not kill? As in, it's a law, man-made law, not a lore. A lore is an original divine law acknowledged as such. Let's go deep here. Let's say if the lore would be, if your mental construct would realize what good and evil actually is and what's being acted out on the planet, meaning if you get divine within the self, within your cells, and your brain starts to oscillate the Fibonacci sequence, and your thought patterns create a formation emanating from you in the golden means, as in a perfect fractal. You will have the inner, over, outer, and understanding of being divine. That is what would make you holy, not holy as in to be worshipped to, which is the mistake, I think. And even if you say there's no mistake, I said yes, there are mistakes. Here's how the mistakes work, to break it down in a metaphor that's to be understood. If you have a flat tire on a highway and you break down, and let's say you're ancient, archaic, and you paint that flat tire, and you hang it up, and you create your hut where your vehicle broke down, your merkaba, and you worship that tire, God doesn't come to save you. No holy, eminent, or being or son of anything will come to do anything for you that you cannot do for yourself. By lore. That's fact. So that's what we did. So you worship the flat golden tire, hoping that one day God will appear mysteriously, like it did in front of Noah, which had to be questioned what appeared in front of Noah, who gave him specific instructions. That was maybe an advanced extraterrestrial who had politics in mind. And in the Bible you think it's God. And what does the Bible say? And I know I'm going to get some flack for whatever. First there was the Word, and the Word was with God. That means the Lord of the command. Why is it that in ancient Sumerian text the Lord of the Word is Enlil? Enlil, who hated his brother Enki for telling the flock that they created, the herd, that they are free and that they're actually like them and like source and they're free. So he called him the devil. We called him the Dea Baal, the Baal. And there was a king Baal, but it's based on Baal, Laedis, the Pleiades, a planetary system that was very quickly demonized because they were rebels and extraterrestrials not following the rules of that god that was in command of Earth. And there was a god that was not on Earth, that was Anu, looking at Earth. It's all in the scriptures. And if you read the scriptures, you can put that together. And the ships, as in the Shem that they talked about, is neither a plane or a boat. It's a ship, like as in mothership in the sky. But if you change the image, and here's where the trickery came in, I believe, it just makes sense. First of all, I'm talking to all the races, all colors, and all creeds. You're all one, and you've forgotten that. You created many, many storylines to separate you from the oneness. Your God says you can't do this. Your God says you can do this. I say, first off, dissolve the conceptualizing of God as an external image outside of yourself. That kills the oneness aspect. Can't be. Also know, when you have beings in books telling you, like Moses was told, go to Egypt. Well, if Egypt was in sin and everybody was born in sin, then you have to ask yourself, why is this almighty supreme being sending Moses, Tutmosis, to Egypt? It makes no sense. To me, this is a human or an extraterrestrial who is advanced with technology, who has an influence, knows about magic as in technology, as in technology, not connected to the source, to leave a massive impression, to choose its prophet or prophets, and telling them what to do. And the benefit is it's war. You know, the parting of the seas, the drowning of the enemy that followed them. There's always a threat or a wrath or a jealousy, or if you don't praise me, then I'll punish you. Do you believe actually that a supreme being that is all-knowing requires you to worship it, and has to, by all means, threaten you that if you don't worship it, that it'll punish you? What does that sound like? I'm a demigod. I'm not an Egyptian god. I am a poser. I'm acting as such. Maybe Elohim Anunnaki draconian mix, and I'm running you because I'm manipulating you with power that you fall for because you're impressed by my magic and my might. If I want to appear as a burning bush with holographic technology and something like a holographic megaphone, and I appear over Jerusalem and I proclaim the word that I am God, guess what? Go back 2,000 years from now and you find that technology, people will believe that I am God. Well, it gives you an advantage. The advantage to manipulate, to pick your prophets, pick the places where you would contact them and tell them what to do because you want them to fulfill your bidding. That's not supreme, that is a dictatorship, and that is control, in my opinion. So I believe, think for yourself, get into the scriptures, get into the construct of what that is, and know that the supreme energy that is there, that if you want to worship that, is source. That is not a figure, it's not a person, nor a place. It's within you and it's outside. And it's like the central sun or the sun in your heart, the source from which all souls come from. And when you go there with understanding of what that is, no more book shall be able to teach you the wisdom that you carry. For the DNA, which a mathematical formula roughly said that the construct of the human genome, a mathematician posed that. Of course, being attacked, to me that means emotional response makes argumentation valid, because if you don't care, you don't care. So it says that imagine that from the birth of the universe and the construct of the human genome and this intelligence even being birthed in a physical form, it's 76 trillion years. That kills everything and every science you have ever known, because most of the science is based on what? Theory. Well, check Webster Dictionary. Webster, dictatorship, narrowed. You know, steered into the web of a dictatorship that dictates you, this is the word. And we follow blindly. That's when I say there's a time where you have to dislaunch from all the words and all that was told to get into how does that feel? What does the feeling tell me? How do I compute experience? So I say, God is you, but you are not the Most High. And I'm not talking about those who puff the most. I'm saying the Most High, meaning that person that is the most clear on this planet with the highest vibratory frequency. Of course they worship you, because everybody is amazed and in awe of how you do it. And if you go back to Yeshua, or Holy Ones, or the Grand Masters of Veraskocha, or Buddha, or Zeus, or other holy figures, first of all, how these figureheads, including the apostles, are basically portrayed in paintings, they don't look like they look like today. It's like Marvel Comics saying Green Lantern looked like this. But if you go back to the ancient Green Lantern, it looked completely different. If you look back at the first Superman that was created, it looked completely different. So you must assume that most of the heroes depicted in today's legends are attuned to the old dominant draconian influence according to what's the most pleasing image. And that's where you have the race question. And I'm not a racist, I'm mixed. I'm part white, I'm part black, I'm native, and I'm everything. And I'm cosmic. So heroes have been changed to please the masses in a form that will be pleasing commercially. So know this, whatever you see is not really what you see. Jesus' image was portrayed by Michelangelo. That was a job that came from a certain authority as an image to be used, to be worshipped. Before that, that image did not exist, nor did the letter J exist in the 1600s. So you understand the confusion that we're under of what we're wearing, what we're running around, what we think we claim to know. Same thing with it, I want you to believe. Faith is to believe. Well, if according to the second wife of Adam, Zakah, the Adam Kadmon, as the blueprint of the creation of the Lord, of the Word, put it down this way. I'm just getting this from just putting stuff together. It's just a feeling. You correct me if I'm wrong. It's just I want to make sense here. There's a universal law for all of us. There's a wisdom for all of us. There's an ever-changing book of life, which is your DNA, for all of us that can be read once you understand the cells, as in the self. So, the second wife of Adam is Eve. The first one, what did you know, was Lilith. Lilith was not submissive, didn't listen, so you take that out of the book. There was a mother named Sophia. She's not in the book. You can read the Pistis Sophia, which is a book that talks about that female character. Do you have any idea how many female high priestesses got erased from the book because of male dominance? So the story is completely quackademic. So you can't even ask a scholar that studied the Bible to come with some knowledge, because I can take, 360 topics, base it on a holy book, and ask a question that you can never answer because you don't study outside of the book. Simple question, and this goes deep. Cain killed Abel. Okay, and according to some books, not just labeling one, there was nobody else on the planet, Cain, Abel, the mother, and the father. First off, you have to ask yourself, why is this supreme being saying nobody touches Cain and I'll mark him for others to see? So there are beings on the planet that Cain actually feared would kill him. Why is this contradiction in that book? See, that's where you do not know, because it's not being told. And if you follow just that sentence, you're caught in the manipulation. I can do it with any book. Give me any book and I pull a sentence out and say, well, why do you call God a he? You think it's some white man in the sky and he punishes you if you don't follow his law? What does that sound like? That sounds like a dictatorship. It sounds like manipulation and control. This is what we're not going for. I want you to free your mind, think for yourself, and be free and have a way of life. And maybe without a label. Whatever you believe, it's a good way to do it. But if you break down the word in phonetics, believe means to be naive. So that means you're lying to the feminine aspect that is submissive of self to order to be dominated by males. If that's too much of an interpretation, go into the word, be naive. If you believe, you do not know. Carl Jung said thinking is a psychological disease. Put it this way. I learned this in Kung Fu. If you want to think about how you defend yourself, you get slapped. But it's the same metaphor as in your brain. If you have to think about a situation, you do not know because you don't have the experience. If you have the experience, guess what? You embody the knowingness and the knowledge of that you have experienced. That meaning you are that knowledge because you're embodying it. And when you come back to that, you get it. You're in resonance what is. So I say, the supreme being, the Most High, is the source field, the overall intelligence, a collective that cannot be personified ever, never ever conceptualized, never any laws based upon it. It creates, and it just is. It won't return because it has never left. If I give you the appeal, planet X is 15,000 million years out there in the sky, well, guess what? Your mind, I'm losing you after 1 million kilometers because you can't fathom the distance. So see, metaphorically, books are designed to keep you entrapped in a thought concept of where you cannot evolve because you don't know how to get there. But if one of us learns how to teleport by thought, party's over. You're going interstellar. Oops, was that a mistake? You're going interstellar. Meaning you can switch dimensions at will. I feel that it's possible. I don't believe. To believe is something like hoping I would be saved after I drop this vessel and in heaven and all of this stuff and storyline. But why is it as a kid I question that? Why is it this is all promised after death? Why not live it? Why does it have to say till death do us part? Why can it say so life unites us? Why all of this negative painting and people are sitting there, and it's all based on something that somebody wrote and you go by it. That takes away the experience from you. Everybody has the capacity to connect to source every day. Everybody has the capacity when they get up in the morning to make a different choice, to change the day for the better. Everybody has the capacity to heal once understood what's to be done, listening to your own navigational, karmic, emotional compass body, carbon-based mind light carrier, if you follow what I'm saying. Common sense, without the crazy metaphors, without the crazy stuff that they're trying to put in you. It's like I say, that what we call God, first of all, is us. We embody that. We're designed after that. We're not to worship that. We're not to follow that. Now, learning to integrate. A lot of people that are, say, narcissistic are subscribing to reptilian stream. Survival, no emotion because I need to survive. Now we're learning to also the zeta reticuli part within our DNA. Many of us are hybrid children. We have that. You get out of the head, which is the zeta reticuli platform, left hemisphere, the super analytical analyzer, dissector, segregator, take aparter, and connect to two hemispheres, bring the balance back, and become one. When you do that, there's no more race question, no more jobs that will pose that and bring you into that. You'll understand oneness, and you will treat yourself as such, respect and come together as such, and create a corporate system that will heal the entirety of this organism, Earth. And we're all part of it, and we all are responsible. Nobody else is responsible. And guess what? If the prayer is not enough for you to heal, then you need to find out, how do I heal? Let's go back to worshiping the flat golden tire, sitting by the highway. You put your hut there, you build a city there, because that's where this holy Merkaba broke down. So you build your city around that. You make it holy, you create legends and books, all based on that tire that got you from one place to another, as in dimensions. Maybe that's how we fell. It's just an example. One day, somebody comes along, has a car, as in the perfect Merkaba, perfect light system working, and he says, oh, that's easy. Why did you spray that gold? That wasn't necessary. Here's what you do. He gives you a reserve wheel, puts it on your car, teaches you how to do it. You make the experience how to fix it. You fix your car, and when you find the next guy that worships a golden flat tire, you do the same thing, and waking up begins. And no book can argue that this is wrong. And yet we have people coming in there, well, that is the devil. He's showing you how this works. This is all devil stuff. That's how we corrupt ourselves. That's we put ourselves in brackets, and everything stops, and evolution stops, and we're not going nowhere. So I'm saying to you, investigate, question, dissect, take apart. We've gotten lazy, we took everything for granted, and that's yes, if you say so, then it must be that way. Let's say if in a scientific review somebody says if you have terminal cancer stage 4, you're dying in 6 months, then it has to be so. Never ever in your life form absolutes, because that's when everything stops. Form in your mind the possibility of all unimagined possible moments in time to find a solution and a common denominator to fix the situation and create something that creates life, attracts life, is thriving, and goes forth and builds. But we need to get up and learn to decipher. That's how we learn the magic. That's how we get into the science. You think I'm spitting this because I'm reading, I don't know, derogatory books, or I'm not reading at all, watching commercial movies, or I'm being superficial? In Germany we call that Kaffeeklatsch, just superficial talk, la 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 la. Or do you think that I'm interested in life? I want to know what is life about, and I'm invested in you, and people coming back saying, actually I'm applying that now, and that's something that I see that you haven't told me, but now since you just pointed to where that lake was with that well, I'm having fun. I'm going fishing, I'm getting water from the well, and I'm doing great. Thanks for the inspiration. So I'm not a leader, I'm a server. I'm serving you. It's like the internet. A server serves the connection to other connections, as in a server. So I am a server to the best of my abilities, telling you, serve your brother, serve your sisters, find an equilibrium, see the equality in all, don't follow the trends, set the trend. Or see authentic trends that you can incorporate to enhance your life. So you can reach the apex of your destiny, the pinnacle of your potential, and rise above and transcend. And then, ultimately, you'll meet people like me on the flip side. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate you very much. I love you. Namaste. In Lak'ech.